Hello everybody and welcome back to our Warrior series. Right now we are going to dive into game number 2. It's going to be against the Rogue. My favorite class, but the Warrior is starting to rival that right now, having a ton of fun with the Warrior. Alrighty. Alright, let's go over this mulligan over here while I fondle with the controls. There we go. Awesome fondling. Alright. This deck has kind of a bad curve early on. That's a statement that I want to make here because that is going to influence your mulligan thought process and just your general mulligan rules. Normally, would you want to keep a 2-drop and 2 4-drops? Not really. First of all, whether you have coin or not is a huge impact there. Right now we have the coin, which means that you can keep 2 cards of the same cost if you're planning to coin one of those cards the turn before you would normally play it. In this case, the 4 cost, so you can play 2-drop on turn 2, coin your 4-drop on turn 3, and then play another 4-drop on turn 4. Normally, I am looking for 2 2-drops and a 3-drop in my opening hand, but mainly 2 2-drops so that I can two 2-drops, so that I can play a 2-drop on turn 1 and then a 2-drop on turn 2. This is, in my opinion, the most aggressive mulligan. You are seeking to use all your mana as best as possible. Turn 1, if you pass on turn 1, you're essentially losing a mana. You've got 1 out of 1 mana crystal that's not being used. Now, is that a disaster? No, of course not, but it would be slightly better if you can get a 2-drop, then another 2-drop, and then a 3-drop and a 4-drop, of course, in an ideal scenario. Now, you have to know your deck when you're going for a mulligan like this. I only have 1 3-drop. It's fair to say that it is fairly unlikely that I'm going to have that 3-drop in my opening hand. And, if I get away with it, I'm not going to get away with that on a consistent base, right? So you have to adjust your mulligan strategy to what your deck is capable of and what your deck is good at. Our deck is not crazy good at early board control. Our deck is pretty good at jumping out in the mid game, with like an Arcanite Reaper and a Dread Corsair like we saw last time, or just, coining out on a Ratty Weaponsmith on turn 3, using the weapon to maybe finish off his Fairy Dragon. So, knowing your deck's strengths and weaknesses for the mulligan is really important. So before you do your mulligan, or actually before you start the arena, have a good look at your deck list, see if you have adequate 2s and 3s, see if you can go for the aggressive mulligan. If not, think about it. Go like, maybe I should try to use my coin on turn 3 instead. All right, there we go. Let's do it. So we're going to keep the Fairy Dragon, we're going to keep the Weaponsmith, and I think I keep the Corcoran Elite in the end as well, because of, the thought process that I just shared with you guys. Going like 2, coining out the Weaponsmith, and then playing the Corcoran Elite on curve. It's usually not that bad. It's also, it's not amazing, but we're going to force out a 2... We're going to force out something with 3 HP, right? Whether that is, or let's say maybe a Gnomish Inventor or whatever. He's going to want to play something that survives the weapon from the Ratty Weaponsmith. Now, am we 100% guaranteed to get a cheeky little kill with Corcoran Elite? No, we're not, but it's something good to keep in mind. He's, like, Corcoran Elite loses against 2 3s, but, no, sorry, Corcoran Elite loses against 3 2s. I always change that in my mind. But the likelihood of your opponent to play a 3-2 into our Corcoran Elite turn is lowered a lot by the fact that we're probably going to coin out the Ratty Weaponsmith. So once again, a small little insight, shared, yes. We shall do the rest of this commentary in this voice. No, I'll spare you guys that. But as you can see, first turn we're going to pass. Our opponent does play a 2-drop on turn 2, and then here we get to play our Fairy Dragon on curve, preparing to coin out the Ratty Weaponsmith, which is the more logical coin, depending on what he plays, of course. Now that he played a Spider Tank, it's not guaranteed to be the best play. I think here that just coining out the Corcoran Elite and going face with it is better. You might think like, whoa, shit, isn't that really early to go face? It is, but are we really going to trade our 4-drop into his 3-drop? It's true, he could have a Shattered Sun Cleric, and he'll destroy us. It's true. But with this kind of deck, you need to take a risk here and there. You need to be able to burn out the opponent. And if we're going to trade our 4-drop into his 3-drop, I feel like you're just playing to not lose rather than playing to win. And playing to not lose usually results in a loss just a couple turns later on. So I have a fairly aggressive playstyle. Our opponent here makes a mistake in my opinion, by the way. I think that our opponent should have traded in. I think it's fairly greedy to let that Crocon Elite live. I've already given him the option to trade his 3-drop into our 4-drop, which is, you know, a good deal. He should have taken it. Instead, now he exposes his Annoyatron, which I can see the plan. You know, he wants the Corcron to go to 2 HP, and then he can trade one of the Defiances in. So maybe yes, maybe no, but still fairly greedy, and, you know, can be fairly, you know, fairly well punished with, say, Cleave. If Cleave hits anything but the Spider Tank here, kills the 2 Defias, or kills the shield and hits in here, it's pretty bad for him. So good for him that we don't have a Cleave, of course. But hey, you know, we've got something else that's pretty good. We've got the Weaponsmith. We can use her, we'll summon the weapon. We use the weapon to destroy the shield. We use our Corcron to destroy the Annoyatron. That way we have a fairly okay board, which I think he has really decent traits for, which is normal. You know, he played the Defias Ringleader early. That's always going to get you ahead on the board. I think that he should use the Spider Tank into the 3-3, and then his 2-1 into the 4-2. I think that's what everybody's going to think here. He plays an Ooze, that's pretty annoying, but let's face it, we have double Arcanine Reaper in the hand, so we don't want it to hit one of our babies. Here he goes for, like, I don't know, I don't like this play. Like, he takes extra damage, he daggers up. Maybe if he has nothing else to play, but I would have just daggered up then and not hit. I would have used my tank into the 3-3. I don't see the reason to sacrifice your 2-2 if you don't have to. He could have, like, you see this, right, guys? He could have used the Spider Tank to kill the 3-3, would have left him with a 3-1 Spider Tank and a 2-2. So he would have had 6 power here plus another 2. That's 8 power in the board rather than 6. And Spider Tank at this moment is probably going to die against everything it trades with. We're getting to turn 5. Turn 5, that's the turn where people play Spiteful Smiths, Stranglethorn Tigers, Spectral Knights. So whether you trade with something or not heavily depends on what turn it's going to be. Is your opponent gonna have a creature that's going to one-shot your Spider Tank? Probably. Do you want to keep it healthy then? No, be greedy, use it for a trade, because you're probably gonna throw it away afterwards anyway. All I can think of is that it was playing around a Cruel Taskmaster or a Whirlwind, but I don't know if you have to. I wouldn't play around those in the arena too much. Your opponent's not even guaranteed to have them. It is arena after all. So, alright, little intermezzo. I try to let you guys learn from both my good plays and my mistakes, but also my opponent's good plays and mistakes. And in my opinion, he just kind of blundered twice in a row there. But yeah, let's continue. This is also a skill in the arena, of course, exploiting your opponent's mistakes. Not everybody plays perfect, otherwise there would be no truly infinite players. If everyone plays perfect, we're all going to be around 3 win averages. Luckily, that's not. There's a lot of diversity. So here, once again, that turn 5 with the Arcanine Reaper and Dread Corsair. Really happy that I drafted Corsair. This guy has been showing up a lot for my, regaining the board control here. Because I just got a 3-3 for free. That's pretty good. So far, it looks like we're going to get board control back. That's good. Our opponent had a good turn with that Annoyatron and the Scrubs. But now it's time for us to reclaim the board. You might think, oh, this is pretty easy. We'll play the Loot Hoarder, the Crocodile, and we'll armor up. A nice use of our mana, we don't need the Belcher yet. I think that's wrong. I think if you play Crocodile and Loot Hoarder, he's just gonna use his face, which he already has equipped, right? He has his face equipped. No, he has his dagger equipped, right? So he'll use his dagger onto the Loot Hoarder. It will not cost him any tempo. And then we're left with a Crocodile. And ask yourself, is it worth to just have a Crocodile and to armor? Or do we just want to have a Belcher? We just want to have a Belcher. So we'll play off curve here, but I think it's correct. It also checks a little bit for an Assassinate. He could have one of those. Alright, so our opponent actually plays a supreme board for us. This is where Anubar Ambusher really isn't that great. Right now, we can clear his entire board by just equipping the Arcanine Reaper. If we equip the Arcanine Reaper and hit his Anubar Ambusher, his Shade is forced back into the hand, and our Belcher is guaranteed to stay healthy, and we can develop either the Crocodile or the Loot Hoarder. I would opt for the Crocodile, less chance that it is going to get wrecked by his dagger if he does have something to get by the Belcher. I wouldn't have faulted anyone. Sorry, I wouldn't have said it was wrong for anyone to play the loot hoarder there. It's just personal preference. I feel like I don't need the card yet. I've got fairly good answers, and you know, next turn I can put it on the board most likely. All right. So our opponent goes ahead and replays his Shade of Naxxramas. So fairly good tempo turn for us last turn. We used 5 mana to clear his entire board, and we still have half the Reaper left. So right now we are 1 damage of lethal, if I'm not mistaken. Rocketeer 5, there's another 5, that's 10, another 5 on the board, 15, and then Heroic Strike for 4, that's 19 damage, and we have enough mana to play them all. So as you can see, Warrior is pretty damn bursty if you build it the way I do. We could almost deal 2/3 of this man's life total. So keep it in mind, always check for the lethal. So because we are so close, it's I don't know, you don't have to go all in, right? What is my main concern here? Because you're gonna see me think and count a little bit about whether I should trade or not. And in the end, I'm going to use the Belcher. I'm going to use the Belcher to kill his 3/3. Why? I thought about a combination of cards that is really not that uncommon. Sap plus Tinker Sharpsword Oil, and Tinker Sharpsword Oil is really a card that you would hold, so that's fairly likely to be in his hand. And if he ends up sapping the Belcher, he actually has lethal, so that's why, well, sap with Tinker Sharpsword Oil, of course, because the Sharpsword Oil automatically gets comboed due to the sap, so the charge will land on a creature that can attack. So there's not even any RNG involved. If he has those particular 2 cards, we're dead. And I'm really not in a hurry to kill him. Right now, we're fine. I've got complete board control. I've got a ton of reach in my hand. I've got an extra 9 damage in my hand, plus an execute to destroy anything he plays. So there's no reason to take the risk here. You know, why be dead to 2 common cards if we can just delay our onslaught by 1 turn and just, you know, miss 3 damage here. Just use the Belcher into the Blood Knight and then go face with the Croc, and probably also with the weapon in case we draw another weapon. You saw that I had to think about it though. I was really thinking, what kills me? Does this kill me? Does this kill me? I was like, ooh, Sap Sharpsword Oil does kill me, so let's get some use of this Belcher. There we go, use the face. Good play, Smork. So right now we are right now we are in a premium position to win the game. And I think if our opponent played really well, like he did the plays that I would have done early game, we wouldn't be in the winning position right now. Because rogues are really, really good in the early game to get the boards. I think he gave us a little bit too easy of a time to get back on the board. There we go. He played a Ysera. That's all good for him, but we'll just kill him. GG, guys. GG, well played. That concludes our second Warrior game. So off to a good start, 2-0. Let's see if we can keep it up, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you all tomorrow.